Welcome to My Breastie Says, two friends exploring life during and after breast cancer from two totally different perspectives. I'm Chris, a breast cancer survivor and a mother of two.
I'm Jenny, a physical therapist and medical professional who specializes in breast cancer care. Together, we created this podcast to bring both sides of the story, the medical insight and the lived experience. All right, this is a really special episode that we have today. Today is our Friendsgiving episode where we're going to talk all about friendship and the importance and role it can play in your breast cancer situation. Chris, why don't you introduce this wonderful third woman?
I'm so happy to have one of my breasties and besties, Karen. I like to call her Karen Dorr, but she's Karen Holland now that she's married. But I've known Karen for over, how long?
Close. We're almost getting to 30. I think we're like 28 plus years.
Longer than I've known my husband. Karen was actually my best. I always call her my best man. What, maid of honor, matron? I don't know. I always confuse the thing. But fortunately we've had a long history of friendship, but unfortunately we also both joined the breastie club of being, going through cancer. So that's why we welcome Karen, because we want to talk about all things cancer and friends.
And the weird thing too is then Karen came into my life.
Oh yeah.
During her treatment so again, this is now over 10 years ago.
12 now, Jenny.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a long time. So we were both upstate New York girls living in Los Angeles and just like connected and stayed connected. And it's actually thanks to Karen that Chris and I met.
Yeah.
Really, we wouldn't have any of this if not for Karen. So,
on
the pod.
Karen, you're responsible for My Breastie Says podcast.
It's the truth. It really is.
I'm happy in any little way.
Wow.
To be on with my friends.
Well, welcome. We're talking about cancer not just being a medical experience, and and basically how deep it is and revealing in the friendship lens, and what that kind of looks like for people. I know for my experience, when I was diagnosed, some people that I expected to show up in a certain way didn't, and the other ones, really just surpassed my expectations, and some that I didn't want to show up showed up, and I was like, oh, leave me alone.
Wow, you know what? That strikes me as so funny, but actually relatable. That makes a lot of sense.
Oh, and
it's so true. Sometimes you're just like, oh my God, what is happening?
Yeah, and then sometimes, I don't know for you, Karen, but sometimes I didn't think there was a few family members that I was just like, no. When just getting diagnosed, like I just need time to like get my head straight. My brother, remember, Karen?
Totally.
Yeah, my brother, when he first found out that I was diagnosed, he, just didn't even ask and jumped on a plane. And my mom had told me that he's coming out from Atlanta to see me. And I was like, no. And it was a lot for me to digest. But at the end of the day, he made the right move, and I was thankful that he was there. What's your experience with?
Mine was very similar, especially with family. And it was kind of funny because, mine went very quickly from getting diagnosed to having to have a double mastectomy 17 days later. So I was super grateful. My parents obviously came out and they wanted to be there, which will always be so grateful for, and having them there. But it was the same thing, like my brother and my sister-in-law, they're like, do you want us to come? Do you want us to come right after I had surgery? And I'm like, no, I don't need you to sit here when I'm like in pain and watching paint dry practically. I want you to come when I'm feeling better so we can do all the fun stuff. Like, give me a hot second.
Right, because if they came, it's not like they would really actually be adding to your plate, not taking off in that situation, right? Because they're from out of town. They don't know the lay of the land.
Yeah. And you want, when people come into town, especially, you want to have fun with them. You don't want to just be in pain sitting on your sofa.
Mhm.
Or sometimes I think people go through a little bit of shock getting diagnosed too, and you just want to be in bed,
Yeah.
right? And you want to like grieve the loss of maybe potentially your chest or your breasts, you know? That was my fear of my brother and his fiance, I guess at the time, coming to town, like that I wouldn't have my own time to digest this.
And did you find, like, who was diagnosed first, Chris or Karen?
Chris,
I'm
Chris.
like raising my hand.
Tom?
Yay, I got that prize.
Um, Now, so Karen, then was part of your processing, did that involve like venting and chatting to Chris? Like, did you do?
Um, all the time. Literally, I got diagnosed. So I went in and like when they sent me home
Mm,
after getting a biopsy, they basically said there's a 50% chance that it's cancer.
mm,
And I
Yeah.
got in my car because I did not go in that day thinking any of this was happening. So I got
mhm,
in the car, obviously crying, called my husband, and I was
mm,
just sitting in the car. And then I hung up with him and I called Chris. And I'm just
mm,
like crying on the phone to her. And she was obviously amazing and is like,
Oh,
you've got this. Here's what
mm,
we're going to do. We're going to take it one step at a time. We're going to, I have
mm,
some doctors for you.
right,
Unfortunately, she had the blueprint for me because
right,
she had done all of it the year before. So I am forever grateful. Not
oh.
that Chris had breast cancer, good God, no, but that I had had my best friend that had gone through all of this, unfortunately, but could share her experience and kind of hold my hand through the whole thing.
I,
and
Um,
Chris.
I think that that is also one of the reasons, Jenny,
Mhm.
sorry to cut you off,
Yeah, it's okay, go right ahead.
but why you and I really wanted to birth my breast, he says, because there's some people who don't, I was one of them,
yeah.
who don't really have that. So if we can be someone's best friend through this process, if they don't have someone that can
Yeah.
that they saw the light at the end of their tunnel and they can reference and relate to, that's what we're trying to do here. So
And that's what I was going to ask you, Chris, actually, is that advice that you gave to Karen, the way you showed up for her in this really calm, almost like kind of like in an organizer mode, like we've got this. Was that something that someone had done for you?
um not on the level, I think I mentioned how grateful I was, and I want to have her on, Christina Applegate. She's the one who gave me all her doctors, and she was amazing. But I knew her through my husband. My
Mhm.
husband knew her. So it wasn't as comfortable, but she
Right.
was amazing for not knowing me and letting me call her and ask her all the hard things and offering up all that information. Forever grateful to her too. But,
Mhm.
there's also, yeah, I wasn't friends with her prior,
Right.
so it was a
Different
little
relationship.
weird for me. So,
But I
yeah.
think that's a nice thing just to kind of, because unfortunately, there's what is it, 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed, and most people listening are probably one of those 1 in 8. However, it could be their family that's listening. And I think it's
Mhm.
nice for us to be able to share what worked for you too as well, like that showing up really kind of like in a calm, not panicking. Um, and what would you say? Just kind of like taking the reins a little bit, or how else would you
It
elaborate
just
on
depends on I think for me, when Karen cancer, oh my God, this is on my mind. Ah! I think that you can answer it for you. I think it's all individual. For
Mhm.
me, I felt at that time that I needed a little time to
that?
compute what was happening. And but my brother was just like, fuck you. I'm coming.
Like I'm coming.
I mean, so I was forced to kind of deal with it in a different way. But I think the advice I would give a family member just to really check in and listen beyond the words to what
Mhm.
is being said and felt. And maybe I was giving my brother different signals that I needed him there, and that's what he felt knowing me and growing up with me. So, I don't know. What about you, Karen?
I agree. I think it has so much to do with family and with friendships. And what I found was, there were friends that I that I knew were going to show up for me. Chris, I could call her day or night. She was going to answer the phone and she was going to be there. And I had a few other friends like that as well. And same with family members. But I also had to take not only, just like Chris saying, taking time for myself and realizing that even if I said, that's fine, I'd love to have you come over, and I changed my mind later that day, guess what? I needed to make sure that those friends that I was allowing into that tiny little inner circle when I was processing or coming home from chemo, maybe a couple days, whatever that time frame was, that they were going to understand if I said at the last minute, I'm sorry, this isn't going to work. Because, and they weren't going to be offended. They were just going to take it in stride and say,
Yeah.
great, you let me know when's good for you. And I think I'm not like, I think people's energy also has a lot to do with it.
Mhm.
When you're already kind of swirling in your own mind, and some days you're having good days or bad days, you want to make sure that anyone that is coming over, or if you're having a long conversation on the phone, that their energy is going to kind of meet you when you're at that time. Does that
Yeah,
make
and you don't
sense?
want to feel uncomfortable. I mean,
No.
for me, cancer became like a filter for people that like, filtering out kind of the bullshit friendships, right?
Yeah.
Or because
Yeah.
you don't want to waste any time. Your time is precious with when you're feeling good, I'm talking about like those times when you have good days, you want to be around, the people that really matter. Have you ever had any negative experiences, Karen? Like with friends going through it? You don't have to mention names.
No, I mean, just a couple. I think that there were a couple times where people did get offended if I was saying, no, this isn't a good time, or no, I don't want to get together this week. And I know that the intention was good. They
Mhm.
wanted to be there, they wanted to help, but they wanted to help on their terms and they
Yes.
didn't want to help on my terms.
Hmm.
And I think that I struggled with that a little bit a couple times, where you kind of then start to step away from those friendships.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it kind of is what it is.
And I
Um,
would think that most likely those friendships, that's how they had showed up in the past. And it was probably fine, right? Just go along with life. But then at this next level, it's like, no, I can't.
yeah, and to Chris says your time, you realize how precious your time is.
Mhm.
And every minute counts. And sometimes you just like I might not, you just don't have the energy. And then that actually has helped me after going
Oh,
through cancer.
Yeah.
I've kept that going through my life,
mm,
whether it's in work and with friendships and everything, like it's helped me in overall, to be honest.
I agree. I agree with that. It's always something I kind of go back to. What
Yeah.
about what about those friends? And I definitely had a few of these
Yeah.
that or like maybe not even close friends. When people find out you have cancer, the reaction is so big, or
mhm.
they're like crying. Sometimes I really liked that. I have to be honest. I was like, oh, they really love me, like, and sometimes I had felt like I had to take care of if it was like a good friend that was crying and stuff. How did you navigate that? Because everyone has a different reaction.
I didn't have too much of that. And I think I don't know, maybe it's just because of the way like I so blatantly like put it out there,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially with my work friends. And I had amazing work friends, and some of them showed up in so many big ways, like literally doing fundraisers for me and things like this. Like they were
Oh,
meal trains, like they were so incredible. I got so lucky. But yes, I mean, I was just like, okay, who wants to talk about what? Here's what we're doing. So I didn't have too much of
You're
that.
really an open book with them. You're just,
Yeah, but Chris, I know you had a lot of that. What were a couple of your experiences?
oh my gosh. Well, I'm going to talk about, I did have a negative experience. I had one friend that, I don't know, I felt a little judged on like what my process would be. So I really I'm a people. I think Karen, you know this, Jenny, you know this about me. I'm definitely I'm a people person, and I like being around that maybe as a distraction going through cancer. And when I was in that chemo chair, I really always liked someone being there. Most of the time it was my husband, But you know, a friend, I remember her saying to me something like, "Why can't you just go by yourself?" And I was just like, have you ever gone through chemo?" You know, I was like, do, and I was like, definitely it's something that I remember.
Wow.
Obviously now I'm a while out,
And it's
but
fair to like, if you've never gone through it, to be like, what is the chemo process? Why does one
yeah.
need help? That's one thing. But to be like, why can't
And
you
I'm
just
like, because I'm on so many drugs, I can't even drive myself home, maybe. I don't know. Maybe because I like to open my eyes when I wake up from all the Benadryl and see a smiling face that I love next to me. I don't know, but why are you even asking me that type of question?
Sure.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of crazy how some people show up, right? Or think they're showing up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What were
Mhm.
some positive things, Karen? Like, you know, like I hear you said like the meal, I really felt like the
Yeah.
meal train was great.
I did too. And it was just things that caught me not by surprise because I knew specifically, I think with my coworkers, like I knew I had amazing coworkers,
Yeah.
but talk about above and beyond because I knew my friends were going to be there for me and go and do all these amazing things. But yeah, literally on day one, they had like meal trains. They were offering
Yeah.
rides. They did two different fundraisers. I got diagnosed well, it was a couple months before Mother's Day, and a couple of my coworkers were really amazing at floral arrangements. So they did a whole thing. They went down to the LA Mart, they got all the flowers, they and they did bouquets for Mother's Day for
Wow.
anybody that wanted them and raise money. And I was like, I mean, I'm speechless. I'm still speechless. Just
That's
there were
I didn't know
so
that,
many,
Karen.
like so many little thoughtful things. The he was the head of retail at the time. He knew I loved hockey and he had center ice tickets to the Kings. So he's like, take my tickets. You and Dan
Oh,
go have a night out on us. Like just things like that that are so silly, but at the time it was right before my surgery. Dan and I were like, it meant so much. And to him, it was like, no big deal. It's a Wednesday hockey game. I don't care. Go.
I mean the little things, right? And then the relationships that you don't even
Yes.
know that are coming. I mean,
Love
you know,
it.
I'm just looking at the silver lining here. For me, I was so scared of that like chemo chair and that being in, you know, part of that group
Mhm.
of people. And I became just like the two of you met
Yeah.
because of cancer and that wonderful relationship and your best friend Jenny
Yeah.
Page, you know,
Yep.
Yeah.
who was my nurse and
Yep.
Yeah.
Karen's
Same.
nurse.
Yeah.
So like
Paige will definitely be a guest, but yes.
there's so many surprise friendships and relationships that you know that I was so grateful for and
I've
like
been so grateful for the friendships that I've made out of it, obviously, specifically with Jenny and Paige. But I know, Chris, you have also done this. And Jenny, you've connected a million people. But like, I've been so lucky that friends of mine that know about my cancer then say, my friend got diagnosed. Do you mind talking to them?
yeah.
So I've made so many more friendships out of this just by talking to friends about it and then their friends, which is a side that you never think of when you get diagnosed. That I've
Mhm.
like collected more friends along the way.
Yes, I've heard breast cancer spoken of like the most incredible sisterhood, but the initiation is a bitch, right? Like no one wants,
No one
once you're
wants
in
it.
there, you know, it's, and both of you are very warm, big-hearted, generous. Chris loves people, like we were talking about. So I bet it came very naturally for you to talk to your friends, neighbors, cousin about their diagnosis. Was that ever a challenge, you know, people reaching out?
It wasn't for me. I don't, was it for you, Chris?
No, I welcomed it. I feel
Oh,
like
cool.
the bond between the breasties or anyone going through cancer that someone's been through cancer is just a fast track to a real friendship. Like
Mhm.
you kind of cut through all the bullshit, all the you know the layer of fat, and you're like, okay, this is who I am. I'm totally vulnerable. I'm raw.
Mhm.
This sucks. What's your experience? Like there's no faking who you are. We're
Mhm.
all in LA, and there's a you know, LA is synonymous for that. Like, hey, check me out. I
Mhm.
think I'm this way and I'm going to pretend I am. And you know, I think you cut through that layer, which I appreciate being from East Coast like we all are.
Trifecta.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't, is there any Any other friendships or anything that stands out for you, Karen, or anything else you want to say regarding the friendship realm of Cancer?
No, I mean, I've just been, as I said, I'm just so grateful for the friends I've met. I'm even grateful for the ones that I kind of may have stepped away from
Yeah.
because it just then makes more space for the friendships that were strengthened throughout the years.
I will say there is a sense of, for me, and I can assume for others, when some people don't show up, there's a sense of loss, and
Yeah.
there,
Mhm.
or maybe, I don't know if I felt this, I don't remember me. There might be a sense of like feeling like, why couldn't this person, do I not matter? Like you kind of put it on yourself. Like, why didn't this friend show up for me? And then you kind of go
Yes.
inward. Am I not good enough? Am I not blah 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 blah? But essentially you kind of got to flip that on its head, and that person might just not be able to deal with it.
Mhm.
And who knows what's gone on in their past, or that situation. So I think that fear plays a good role for some people, and them not being able to show up the way they should be showing up, maybe.
Yeah, it can be really awkward, even just that, like, I don't know what to say. Like, like
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean? So that, and then everyone says all the dumb things. I'm sure you guys have had your share of like strangers or people saying stupid things, but yeah.
Yeah, I think you don't mind. I will say this as a cancer survivor, I'd rather people say something, even if it's a little bit dumb, or hey, be strong.
Yeah.
Be strong. Okay, no, I'm going to choose to be weak, right? Like,
Thanks. Yeah.
I'm trying my best here, people. Like, but yeah, I mean, I think I'd rather even just the communication versus this, some people go silent. But, I think other people show up in the ways that they can, whether just sending a meal, that
Right.
means a lot, especially going through treatment while you're going through treatment.
Mhm.
I think so.
I think yeah, it all meant the world.
Yeah. Is there so there's friendships that disappointed you, Karen, going through it?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a couple that disappointed me, but I think that I just think that they were people that didn't have that, like they didn't know how to handle it exactly like you're
Yeah.
saying. And it's like at that point, I feel like if I thought about it now and I was in that same situation,
Mhm.
Mhm.
not cancer related, I would probably like have a normal conversation and share my feelings. But when you're in such a vulnerable place, there's no way you have the bandwidth to be like, hey, you're really
Oh,
disappointing me in the way you're showing up.
yeah,
You
no.
think it, and Chris, like you said, you feel it, and then you do kind of think to yourself, like, wow, this bums me out or it hurts my feelings, all of those things. But I mean, I'm like barely hanging on by a thread. There's no way I can be like,
And
Yeah.
I also imagine there's so many reasons to be upset, and it can be, why not just pile on that one friend that's not showing, it gets easy to kind of direct everything externally versus I'm so scared about what's happening to me. I'm just going to be mad. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. Um,
I feel like sometimes cancer really just helps you sift through all that bullshit. And sometimes I hate to say it, but it clears space with
mhm.
different friends. And maybe they're, I'm a believer in God. And sometimes I feel like it's just a tool that also helped clear out all the things to start anew with more meaningful friendships, and whether they be in the chemo room or some old friendships that deepen, like Karen and I and Jenny and I, like
The therapy room,
the
right?
therapy room. So yeah, I don't know. I'm
Well, though,
grateful for the new friends.
you also, something you said earlier today, Karen, about how you had to kind of clear some friendships. We just talked about why that was, but then how the ability to do that has served you in roles outside of cancer world. And I think, like, as a people-pleasing woman, um, that's huge. Like, wow, like, you learned how to set boundaries and really listen to yourself, and that's pretty incredible.
yeah, that was a surprising thing to me. And it still is, like if I kind of look back and I'm like, oh, wow, okay, that was one benefit that I never really would have thought of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not really a benefit, but you know what I mean?
Sure. One area, a growth area, I guess that
Yeah.
came.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
Well, I loved this episode about friends.
Karen, please come visit us more.
I
I'm
know.
happy to visit anytime.
All
We
right,
love
great. We're gonna take you up on that because we've got some other areas to discuss with you.
it. And happy Thanksgiving to you, ladies. We love
Yeah.
you. Happy
Happy
Thanksgiving,
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay.
everyone.
Thank you for joining us today on My Breastie Says. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this with a breastie who needs it. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Please don't forget to support our sponsors. We donate a portion of proceeds to charities supporting cancer patients in need. And we welcome questions and/or topic suggestions. So please submit at mybreastiesays.com.
The conversations on My Breastie Says are based on personal experiences and professional insight, but they are not intended to replace your medical advice. Always consult your doctor or licensed healthcare provider for medical guidance specific to your situation. We're here to support, not prescribe.
See you next time.
Bye!